Hey Kate, welcome to High Society again. Thank you for resubscribing. Wow, man, has it been a minute? Does my mouth work? We're gonna find out. How's everyone doing? I got iced coffee this time because it's hot in Florida. It's real hot in Florida. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. Hold on, let me make sure that I kind of rushed to set up here. So we're gonna jump into some things. We're gonna talk about anxiety in art, and we're gonna talk about the stream, and we're gonna talk about all that stuff, all that good stuff. I gotta pop out the chat, man. It, I gotta get this. We gotta get this together. Be patient with me for a moment. Popped out the chat. Should be working fine. We're all set up. Okay. Um. We're gonna talk about anxiety in art, but at the top of this, I do want to say, a special shout out to Barb for watching. That is Shannon's mom. She watches the stream pretty regularly, which is great. Thank you for watching. Am I using the recent OBS patch? I am not. Oh, it is nice. Cool. I gotta try it. So hey, let's talk about the stream for a second. And this is kind of like a segue into like I've just been thinking about a lot of things in the last like week and a half, going through like a real emotional roller coaster, up and down, like having a lot of artistic anxiety, having a lot of like kind of like readjusting of priorities, but also thinking about like if you've been watching the stream for a while, we talked about setting up clear goals in the beginning of the year and like what our goals are going to be for that year, and we're going to reevaluate those goals. But like I also think that it's worth just checking in because it's been like we're through like half of the year, a little over half, and like this has got to be a point where like if you've set those goals and like some of them aren't working, where you start to feel like just like why isn't this working? I don't understand how to get this done. Or you might be like I just want to throw my hands up of everything and be done with all of it. Like I don't want to deal with it. You might be getting frustrated. Hey Diatra. So I just want to tell you that like, you know, I think two things are important. One is that you know, you can not hit a goal and that's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. Two, you can readjust your goals, figure out what you need to do. And three, I don't think that giving up is like, it feels like that's what you should do when you're in like an anxiety moment, which we're going to talk about in a second. But because I've been thinking about all this stuff, let's talk about the stream. I've been thinking about, I've been looking at like YouTube numbers for the video game stuff, which doesn't do well, and the creative stuff does a lot better. And I've also been thinking about me personally, like where I put my time. And I think we're gonna cut video games for the stream for the foreseeable future. This is all a work in progress. This whole stream's a work in progress. We're gonna cut games for a while, and try to focus on creativity and making things, because like that's where I want my headspace to be, and I think maybe you guys want that too. So we're gonna lean into that. This is how hot it is in Florida. My ice cubes are like melted. Hey, I got Powers Book 6 in the mail. That was a trip. This is volume 6, and it collects basically stuff from 2009 to 2012. So like a solid 10 years ago. It is, I've been on this like emotional roller coaster, and we can click over to the Photoshop. And this is something I want to talk about. An editor tweeted this out. I don't know who colored it, but we are going to be coloring this art germ piece. Give me a second. Make this a little bigger. We're going to color this art germ piece. It's Nessa, I guess. And art germ requires like a kind of delicate coloring, to which Powers is not a very delicate coloring. Powers has a very like built-in style to it, but we're going to talk about this and how this everything, it seems, is kind of like in my own headspace with anxiety lately. But I saw this came across my Twitter feed, and I'm not on Twitter much more these days. I'm trying to avoid it because it's like messing with my head. But yeah, this came across my Twitter feed. I don't know who colored it because an editor tweeted it out and they didn't credit any of the art team, which is fine, I guess. But I saw this and I was like, this is such a, like, clearly there's a market for this because, you know, here it is, and an editor is tweeting it out, and it is an X-Men book. But it's also like not what I do. Like, I look at this stuff and I'm like, oh, the colorist made this like U shape with like an airbrush, and then like I guess like cut and graded the like nose a little bit. And this is like all very like precise and soft, and like that's not what I do at all. And this is something that I realized when we did the crease piece, the rogue that we did a while ago, because I finished it and I showed it to Crease, and he was like, you don't really do anything soft, do you? Like, you never like make something like soft. It's always like hard brushstrokes. And I realized, I was like, oh shit, he's absolutely right. Like, and in realizing that, I was like, okay, how do we step up our game? How do we figure this out? And the only way for me to do that, like, I can't just like middle of the run on Heartthrob be like, it's all soft palettes, or it's all soft rendering now. Like, that's not gonna work. It has to have consistency, just like Powers has consistency. So it's got me kind of like thinking about like what this stream is and what it should be, and what, like, how I should be thinking about art overall. So like, let's finish our coffee. God, there's still so much of it left. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're not anxious. So we can talk about that real quick. San Diego Comic-Con made me super anxious this year, and I wasn't gonna talk about it. Coffee and anxiety, yeah, right. We get all hopped up and talk about all my anxieties. So San Diego Comic-Con came around this year, and last year, Umbrella Academy got announced, and it had a San Diego Comic-Con little mini comic, and I was like, yeah, we're doing Umbrella. Like, I'm all excited, you know, like this is a thing, and I'm putting a lot of time and energy and effort into it, and I'm stoked on it. I'm excited to be like at the table, basically, like, because a lot of this stuff, a lot of comics feels like, you know, this big party where like everybody who's skilled all knows each other, and like getting invited in seems really great, you know? So I was like all hopped up last San Diego Comic-Con. And then this San Diego Comic-Con, and you guys will know this because you'll be able to see it on the trade paperbacks, but on the Umbrella trade paperbacks, there was an error between like the designer and the editorial. There was like a miscommunication. They reused old assets, and they put on the back cover Dave Stewart's name as the colorist rather than my name as the colorist. And it's like, it was like all the air went out in my balloon because like, and I know that it's like, obviously it's somebody's fault. They reused old assets, you know, it happens. But like, I was trying so hard. Yeah, I know, right? I was trying so hard on that book, and I was like really trying to like bust ass, and like it was such like a gut punch because it'd be one thing if it was just like, you know, well, I'm one of 3 teams on Nightwing. They got the back cover wrong. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but like that is like a such a high bar to hit. Something that I thought like, you know, like I was handpicked for, and I was handpicked for it. And I know that they don't feel like I'm like, oh, Dave Stewart, Nick Filardi, whatever. What's up, comics and stuff? Fake McCoy, Lizard Breath. Yeah. So editorial caught it, but they didn't catch it in time for the first printing to be out. So it's going to get changed for the second printing. So if you all want the Dave Stewart version, nab the first printing of Umbrella Academy. At any rate, so that kind of took me down a peg, and then going into San Diego Comic-Con, it just seemed like it was an onslaught of like really great art, announcements, and I didn't have anything going on. Like, you know, I didn't have anything announced. I'm still grinding away on Nightwing. I'm finishing up Heartthrob. Like, I'm spending my time on like smaller projects. Just like the way that the announcements of the books that I'm working on currently that I can't talk about have lined up. It's just that nothing got announced this San Diego. So I was seeing like all this other art being championed. And then on top of that, like the Eisners are like always a head trip for me because like I want to be recognized. I feel like I am doing good work, but I mean, maybe I'm not. Like, this is the other thing. This is like, am I doing any more cons this year? I'm going to do New York City. I think that's it for the rest of the year, though. But like, so not only did I like all the wind out of my sails going into San Diego, and then it was just like an onslaught of really great art that I was not a part of, and then it was like, you know, like am I really doing like a good job with art? Am I really doing like what I want to be doing? Like, does this feel right? You nominate? Thanks, appreciate that, comics and stuff. I was like, you know, and these are feelings that like we all have as artists. Like, I have this feeling, this anxiety of like, oh god, we're screwing it up. We're really screwing it up. Like, something is out of my hands. I don't know what it is. Everything's wrong. Like, it's all bad. You know? Like, this is something that like every single artist feels from time to time. No matter the skill level, no matter like it just is. Like, and you know, I can't, like, people are going to announce books. Like, I can't control that. Like, and also, like, I like comics. I want people to announce books. Like, I want to read a lot of these books. Like, why am I getting down on myself about it? But when you're in it, it feels like you're just, you can't catch a break. You can't win. You can't, like, I don't know. It's just, it feels really bad. It feels really bad. But I will say that it also feels like that is such a big feeling. Yeah. Tell me about it. So like, I got into that headspace and I was just basically bummed for like 3 days straight. Like, I was just like a mess. And I was like, and like, I don't know how to get out of this. And I started realizing I started realizing that like, do am I doing comics to win an Eisner? No, I'm doing comics because I like comics. Like, I like the work. I like the process. Uh, and then I was thinking about like something that Brendan said to me at Heroes Con, which was like just a one-off thing about an artist. You feel the same way halfway through your first book that will be published. You deserve an Eisner, damn it. Look, we all deserve Eisners. Comics is a rough business, and anyone that sticks around deserves an award because holy shit, like this is not easy emotionally for anyone. Um, but something else. So I'm like grappling with this of like being like, why am I not part of this like Eisner club? And then I was like, wait, do I even want to be part of this Eisner club? And I mean, I do because I want people to see my work, and I feel like if you win an Eisner, you get more eyeballs on your work, just in general. Um, that's something that I really care about. Uh, but then I was thinking about like something that Brendan said at Eisner's for Flatters. Everyone should get it. Like down the line, the fact that like, um, I mean, yeah, Matt Wilson got an Eisner and I got a dog. I win. Yeah. Matt is well deserved for the Eisner, by the way. Like, dude's just consistently knocking it out of the park. He's a good friend, and he it makes sense. Like the work that he's doing is incredible. Paper Girls is ending. Like it makes sense for him to win an Eisner. I get it. But at any rate, I started to like in this spiral of like everything's wrong, and then I was like, okay, all right, pump the brakes. First, yeah, I did get a dog. First, I was like, okay, I'm not fucking it up because I've been doing this for a long time. Second, like, I like, I am in demand. I'm turning down work. Like, I have too much work. Like, I'm doing something right. Like, something's working. But I'm trying to find the pieces that aren't working. Like, because like I was saying, Brendan said something to me at the show, which was he was talking about another artist, and I won't say who it is, but it was another artist who's very, very skilled and can't find work. And they are upset because, obviously they're upset because they're very, very skilled. They know they're skilled and they can't find work. And he said something to the effect of, obviously he's very skilled, but something's wrong. So that stuck with me pretty intensely because it started to make me think about like, okay, like if I have the skill and I'm like working for Con Interviewer, it's mine. I don't know, man. Jason Latour is doing good work right now. By the way, you should all check out Jason Latour's channel as well. He's been interviewing people and he's been putting up like little 15-minute clips. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. Eventually, we got to work on this art germ piece, but I need to caffeinate. So yeah, I was thinking about like where is it that like I'm not hitting the mark. And then I was like, okay, let's reevaluate. And I feel like this is a you're speaking about artists not feeling confidence. You were reading a book about the Oscars. Confirmed he was going to a psychologist for 2 months after he won with The French Connection because he thought Clockwork Orange was a much better picture. And it's funny because after these 2 months break, he got The Exorcist. Yeah. He got the confidence to direct. Yeah. This is also the thing, like, I don't think there should be awards in an artistic medium. I don't think that, like, I think the Oscars are bullshit. I think that like awards in general are kind of bullshit because art is a subjective thing, and something that is very important to one person will not be important to the other. I also take issue with the fact that the Eisners, people who pick the Eisners, are a rotating committee of people, so it's not like it's the same people every year cultivating a taste. It's like just it feels random. And I don't know if that's necessarily like I don't know enough about the process to know how random it is, but like obviously it's a little I don't know. It just awards in general for art seems weird to me. Um yeah. So anyway, I was grappling with all this, and then Brendan dropped that on me, and it kind of like sat in my brain for a little while. And then I was like, am I doing everything that I can outside of the work? Like, am I doing absolutely everything that I can 100%? Or am I doing some things like 75%? Am I doing some things 50%? Like, is there a way? And like, I took a hard look at the people around me and I was like, is there a way to like unify what I'm doing? And I think that that's part of it. I think that there's things that I'm just straight up not thinking about. Like, and this is stuff that's growth. And every time you feel anxiety about something, every time you feel that artistic anxiety, I feel like sometimes it's based in this are you posting it up on Twitter? That's not what I'm saying. Let's finish this coffee. Let's get into this piece. Um so this piece is by Art Germ. This is way outside the comfort zone. We're gonna approach it like we normally approach things, where we are just gonna like put down a cut, figure out a light source, and then figure out a palette, and kind of like, and then try to soften from there. That's my goal. But one of the things that I realized was that sometimes when you have this anxiety, you know what? We're just gonna lighten this whole thing just a little bit. Is this locked? Weird. Because it's a little dark on my monitor, and I know that I think he paints dark to light. So I just wanted to lighten just in general. Also, I realized that we are. I think this is a thing. I don't know if this is a thing where Twitter is very angry about the way that artists are portraying Nessa. I don't even know. I'm not plugged into Pokemon at all. This is again way outside the comfort zone. But artists are getting a lot of feedback of like, oh, you're whitewashing her kind of thing. So we're gonna try to not do that with her skin tone. So yeah. Somewhere on Twitter there'll be people angry with everything. Yes, you're not wrong. Partially why I'm not on Twitter that much anymore, because it started, we talked about this, it started just like breaking my brain as far as like I kept thinking, can I do this? When I was like creatively exploring ideas and I was not editing, I was still like in my mind editing. We won't get into that. That's a whole other discussion. So at any rate, I started to realize like a couple of things. There's definitely talk about painting people of color. It's a valid topic for sure. I also think, okay, I had a conversation with someone about this just recently, and it is within comics, in like the printable range to show off line art. Like, there are skin tones that are so dark that if you try to put them in comics, it'll just print black and it'll be like hard to read. Um, I believe that there are, and this is just me understanding how print for comics works. I think that there are obviously draw black people different than white people. I mean, they just visually look different. But I think that you should treat people of color who have very, very dark skin with some spot blacks, some generous spot blacks, because I feel like the line artist can affect that more than the colorist. Like, the colorist has to work within a value range that's like printable and good. And the line artist is working in black and white. And I think that we need to meet each other in the middle to make a good, like, solid, person of color. Beneficial. We've been officially subscribed by Beneficial. Welcome to High Society. So anyway, let's talk about my anxiety and like how I felt afterwards. So I started realizing this, and I was like very, very down. Like, Shannon was trying to cheer me up with sushi and booze, which usually works. Beneficial is beneficial. True. So sushi and booze usually works, but I was still like just kind of down. I felt like the work that I was doing was good enough, but for whatever reason it wasn't getting recognized. And then I kind of realized, like, the things that Brendan had said. I was like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And I feel like when you have anxiety like this and you look at something that you think you want, there's a couple things that's happening. One is you might not actually want that thing. This might just be straight up artistic jealousy. Like, somebody got attention, you didn't get attention, it's fine. Like, and that's something that, like, everyone is going to have to figure out and navigate to the best of their own abilities. Some of you might have more problem with that than others. I know that especially very early on, it took a lot of emotional energy for me to kind of like push that feeling down and deal with it and like be like, put it in a box and be like, you are not going to control me, and I'm going to be excited for my friends. Like, like, otherwise, like, I don't even know why we're doing this. Like, if I can't root for my friends because of my own emotional bullshit, like, what's the fucking point? Like, why are we here? Like, so that's one thing. And the other thing is, like, you might not actually, like, want this thing. And I started thinking about my goals for the year, and I started thinking about, like, what Brennan said about, like, obviously the work's fine, but something else is broken. And I started to realize that maybe in my life, I have a few broken things some things that I feel like could be a little bit better. And it's hard, especially when you're feeling that, like, anxiety pressure, to be like, you know what? Maybe something I'm doing is wrong. Maybe we can adjust. And I'm not saying wrong like we're a fuck up. Like, no, I mean just like we can do X a little bit better. One of the things that I realized with through all this was that, like, I have an Instagram that is completely separate from my Twitch stream, which is completely separate from my Twitter. And it's like, oh, J.R. Kaufman, thank you for the subscription. And, like, it doesn't have to be. Like, for whatever reason, in my mind, I was like, these are separate things. And they don't have to be. with a little bit of effort, like I can kind of like grow them all at the same time rather than putting them in like different separate pots, separate areas. Like, and I was like, oh shit. Well, if I'm doing that wrong, like what else am I doing wrong? And that like idea of like let's just like sit back and objectively figure out what we can improve on. And like you might not be doing it, I wasn't doing it wrong. Like I still had Twitter followers, I still had Instagram followers. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I could do it a little better. And then I was like, and this part of it is really hard for me. But like there's an idea of like I, like many of you, like got into art and was attracted to art because I was like, fuck the man. Like, you know, like I don't want to be a part of your system. Oh, hey Travis, what's up, man? I was working on some of your stuff earlier today. I'm actually really, really enjoying all the stuff the thing that we can't talk about, but we're going to talk about cryptidly. Really enjoyed all of the work, man. You're doing good stuff. So I was actually just telling Shannon the other day, I was like, Travis is a good dude. Like, man, yeah. Anyway, so thank you for the follow. I am like, I don't have the alerts. I can't hear the alerts. So if have been previous follows, I'm sorry about that. NDAs, what are they good for? Yeah. So, you know, like I got into art because I was just like, you know, like fuck the man. I don't want to be a part of your system. Like, I don't want to go to a day job. I don't want to have to get up in the morning. I just want to like make art and like do what I do. And there's been a lot of personal growth that I've had to go through, where I've just like come up against the like that idea of like I'm a punk rock kid, and then the reality of like and this is something that like I've started to figure out only in the last couple of years, and only because I've started going to cons and I'm interacting with people and I'm seeing other people interact with people. But I'm like, shit, I gotta start like I'm 37, like, and I'm still dressing like I'm 20. And like that's fine for like at home or whatever, but it's like we can like I can do this better, and like I'm capable of doing this better. I'm capable of figuring it out, at least at the very least. So I was like, you know, like maybe I should, hey Graffiti Bandit, maybe I should figure this stuff out. Maybe this is worth pursuing. And like at the end of the day, like 16-year-old Nick would say, you know, wear whatever you want if Nick's gonna start coloring a suit and tie. We don't have to go that far. But at the end of the day, it's like 16-year-old me would have been like, here's my zine. If you don't like it, if you don't like the way I dress, like eat it, you know? Like, but you know, 37-year-old me who's been around for a little longer is like, well, like, you know, people are at different points in their lives and they can dress however they want to dress, and you want to come across as like a professional who knows what you're doing, and like also you want to come across as a person that anyone can come up and talk to and isn't going to make them uncomfortable. Oh god, Barry, no. Polo shirt, popped collar. First of all, I have an emotional reaction because of the way politics has labeled the polo shirt in the last like couple of years, to wearing a polo shirt, like as in emotional reaction as being like, yikes. At any rate, I feel like there are things that this is like a long story short version of like there are things that I was potentially like not thinking about that I should be thinking about. And all of this to say, like, if I wasn't anxious, if I didn't have this anxiety, how do we even know if I wear pants? If I didn't have this anxiety, if I didn't, go through this kind of like crappy time, I wouldn't be thinking about this stuff. I would be just like plodding along like nothing happened. And then, so I'm thinking about all this stuff. And then I get powers in the mail. Your uniform is polo. It gives you feelings as well. Yeah, I hear you. I got powers in the mail, and this is like work from 10 years ago. And I was thinking about like where I was 10 years ago, where I am now, and like it's been a slow yeah, man. I just got comped for the 6th book. It's been a slow like pace of me not only figuring out this, like trying to figure out art, but also trying to figure out like, I was like a very, very awkward kid. And I had to figure out like, okay, how do I socialize at a Comic-Con? Like, how do I socialize with other professionals? I had to figure that out, and I got better and better at it. But it was something that like I really had to learn. And it made me go, well, if I can learn that stuff, no one wears pants when they stream. I was like, well, if I can learn that stuff, like, I don't know, I can like learn anything. And it's just like, we're all just people pinballing around in life, like slowly refining and figuring out what they want and like how they want to present themselves. And like, I don't think that, much like art, I don't think that this is ever something that the anxiety never going to truly go away, because the anxiety is like a moment where you're like, huh, am I doing this right? When you separate out all the feeling of like dread and all that stuff, which is tough to do, once you separate out those feelings of dread, I feel like you end up in a place where you're like, am I doing this right? If I'm not doing this right, how do we do this better? And I think that emotional place is incredibly valuable, because if I had never gotten to that place, if I had never been like, how do I make this better? How do I improve? How do I do Comic Cons? Like, I probably wouldn't have been doing powers to begin with. I probably wouldn't be doing powers for like the last 15 years. And like, I probably would still be doing that work rather than this work. Like, I probably still would be doing like, one cut looks a little dark, like that kind of stuff. Like, I wouldn't be equipped to do the work that I'm doing now. Like, I feel like, when you separate out like all the anxiety of like that kind of like dread, I start to get excited. Once I'm able to like tell the anxiety to shut the hell up, like I get excited and I get energized, because I'm like, we're gonna level up soon. Like, we're gonna do some big things, and we're gonna figure out what we want. We're gonna figure out like what's worth putting our time in. And so I started like really looking at um not only like the stream and social media, but just like everything. Like, let's take a step back and just look at the whole thing. Like, what's going on? What are we putting our time into, and what do we want? And that question, what do you want, is an incredibly like simple, easy, or like complicated and difficult question. It is gonna run the range for every single person watching this. Um, I thought that what I wanted when I was fresh out of school was to break in coloring comics. I don't think it was, honestly. Um, I think that what I really wanted was to pay off my student loans. You want to rock? That's my guy. What I really wanted was to pay off my student loans, and I was like, how do I do that? I guess I color comics. Um, and then like I'm still coloring comics, and I enjoy coloring comics, but like I started like really thinking about like what do I actually want, and like the reality is like I want to draw some stuff. I want to get like I want to like you know get some zines out there, like get some I'm excited about like getting that kind of stuff done and out there in the world. um that's what's making me excited. And if you are in my Discord, you know that like I just inked another page. I got another one set up. We're getting close to the end of that 4-page horror thing. um and I'm excited to get it done. I don't even think it's gonna go anywhere. This is the thing too, is like I was recently uh Shannon has been watching excuse me. Shannon's been watching Gossip Girl, and I've been playing Valkyria Chronicles with like one earbud out, like kind of listening to Gossip Girl. And guys, there's no shame. Gossip Girl's a good show. uh it's fun popcorn TV. Anyway, there was a moment where like one of the characters, and like maybe I'm reading into everything because I'm in this like headspace of like I got to reevaluate everything. But there was a moment where one of the characters who's been working for a fashion designer is getting like jerked around by this designer, and then is like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it on my own. But hell yeah, Blake Lively forever, yeah. Uh, so she's like, I'm scared to like start doing this on my own. And this other character, about time this became a Gossip Girl channel too. Oh no. We've awoken a beast. um this other character was like, well, like, why aren't you on your own with this stuff? And she was like, well, I don't know these people, I can't get in with this stuff, like. And like figuring that stuff is valid, but she was like, dude, you're making the product, us, we can help you sell the product, like, let's take the first step. And there's been so many times when I feel like I've like personally felt like, and I'm sure that this has happened to all of you as well, where like you see the end goal and it's like you can't take that first step, or you don't know how to take that first step, or you don't know if you really even want to take that first step. Like, maybe you're just like, this is like casual hobby, and I don't know, I'm just kind of like putzing around, and that's fine too. Like with art, like as long as you guys are making stuff and you're happy, like that's great. But I'm just talking about like goals right now. And I was like, man, everything starts this way. Everything ever that anyone has ever done. Like, Jim Lee did not start as like CEO of DC. He got there. He's not CEO, but like, high up editorial at DC. He got there because he like saw opportunities that came with risk and slowly like took the first step and then took the second step and then took the third step. And I feel like that's fucking everything creatively. Like, just like, okay, I can do this. Now, what's the next step? How do I make this better? How do I go to the next level? And like sometimes with art, and especially commercial art, and especially trying to make a living at art, that next level has nothing to do with the art. And that's frustrating. That was frustrating for me and frustrating me a long time. I think it's about time that I've like started to like step up to it and like not only that but also reevaluate what I want. I feel like, you know, figuring out what you want out of art and out of life, that's a tough thing. Like, I kind of came to the conclusion, by the way, like starting with comics, it's confusing because there's no guide to what you need to show, who you need to show your portfolio exactly. It's totally up to you to discover it. Yeah, I mean, you talk to any artist working in comics, and you're like, how did you get here? And you'll get a new response for every single person. It's because, like, you draw differently, you are a different person, and you are going to make different connections, and that is every single person in comics. All right, let's add some shadows. Whoa, that's real dark. Real dark. I think we're going to have to add highlights more than shadows. We're just going to pop this guy down here. I think we're more highlights than shadows. I'm going to try to figure out the color scheme, what we need to do here. So we're going to have to focus up and stop yammering on about anxiety and what it means and how to fix it. And I also feel like it's okay to not know what you want. It's okay to experiment, you know? Like, it took me this long. It took me till 37 to be like, no, but wait, we should do pages. You know, like I should be drawing. We wouldn't be having this convo, but instead be talking about The Boys on Amazon Prime. No. Okay, so another thing that's kind of like prompted this like what do I want is that like I'm slowly starting to get to a point where did we oh man, are the flats anti-aliased? Oh, I'm about to lose my mind. What is this? Oh, this is the math we did in the previous stream. The flats are anti-aliased. Don't do this. Okay? He's painting for him, so he's happily do this. If you're doing flats, don't do this. Yeah, rip. Yes, I'm there now. I'm there with you. All right, we want to put her on a beach at like the golden hour kind of thing. So that's what I'm trying to like lean into. Does she have purple hair? Or is it black hair? I should have probably looked this up beforehand. I don't know anything about Art Germ, but I would highly suggest that you do not discourage other artists in my chat, by the way. No reference, just go. Oh, she's got like Okay. So here's official Pokemon art. Oh, that's not the right button. There we go. Here's official Pokemon art. We have a problem. She has like streaks in her hair. I mean, we don't necessarily have to it's black with blue streaks. Yeah. I'm getting there. We don't necessarily have to put the streaks in. I guess it depends on like what are we going for? We going for 100% accuracy? Are we 360 no scoping this, or are we filthy casual? Why are the streaks a problem? They're not a problem. They're just gonna take time, and I don't want to do it. All right. Hold on. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. But think about if I want to do streaks or not. I'm gonna be right back. Yeah, slamming a coffee in the first hour of the stream, and then realizing, oh no, I have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, genius. Okay. Uh, the blue plaid streaks are like the Pokemon company intended. Blue plaid streaks. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's figure out the streaks. Um, on top of the anxiety. Yeah. So okay. Let's if we're gonna make blue streaks, we need to figure out like what kind of blue we're gonna make it. Um, like these should all be the same blue, I think. So we're gonna try to blue them up a little bit because they're getting a little drowned out. And like we're out of the palette. Like the if this was a photograph or something, uh, I got back before you. Yes. We're a little out of the palette with this blue, but it's gonna make the blue like kind of pop. So I think the blue streaks are probably a good idea, and we should probably like get the same blue going in our eyes. We're figuring out the palette stuff because we need to figure out all the palette stuff before we figure out all the rendering stuff. Um, I just okay. Here's why the blue streaks are a problem, because the way that Stanley has drawn this, um, and the way that like I'm interpreting it are, and then the way that the original image are like kind of two different things or three different things. Um, Figure it out. So we'll talk a little bit more about anxiety. Stan Lee drew that. Yep. Creator of Marvel, Stan Lee did it single handedly. Um, Man, I cannot even see these lines on my screen because my gamma's like for print. One of the common themes of my early work is that it is too dark, and that is something that I've been like, I have to fix this, but like I never actually really uh, put genuine time and patience and effort and consistently across the board in a long time. And in the last year I've started really digging into it. And one of the ways that I've realized like how to dig into famous lover of anime Stan Lee. Yes. The braid is the streak? Wait, I was going to do the streak back here. Is that not the streak? Hold on, let's look at the line art. I was going to do this as the streak. Oh, I haven't tweaked the production gear at all. I was going to do this as the, because he kind of like made this separate from the rest of the art. Yeah, so I started realizing like, okay, like what's I started okay, let's back up a little bit. That looks right. Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Figure out where the other streak is. We're gonna go here. So I was like, I'm in this funk, and I was like, how am I gonna get out of this funk? And I was like, well, I haven't listened to a podcast called Creative Pep Talk in a while, and I like that podcast, and I was like, I'm gonna try listening to it. And he had this whole episode on like finding a mentor. Okay, so for some reason, I'm really bad at saying the word mentor. I want to say mentor like centaur. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. How do I find a centaur? Is my point. If I were a centaur, where would I be? And once you find your centaur, then you can become a comic artist. Um, Mantar. Yeah, exactly. um. Anyway, I'm gonna say that word wrong like 100 times in like a second here. But he was talking about how he felt like he didn't have one, and then he realized that like once he once he opened himself up to the people that are around him, he realized that like, you know, he had mentors the whole time. Like they were like, you know, his peers around him. They weren't like officially in like a student teacher like relationship, but they had been giving him advice for a long time. So and this is the thing too is Nick Dillon. No, no. Why does my mouth not work? Yeah, exactly. All the hard drugs I did off camera. No, no. Uh, we're gonna do those for the streak. Um, so, and it was a really interesting conversation because like I started to realize like one of the things that I realized was that this stream is a way for me to communicate this stuff, like, and put it out there in the world. That, like, there is a need when I sit here in silence in my studio, like, I drive myself crazy. And I definitely drive Shannon crazy. But, like, there is a need for me to, like, communicate and talk about this stuff. And, like, not only with you guys, but like I talk about this stuff separately with other artists as well. And I've started to realize that like, you know, this is what a studio is, which is like, duh. Uh, Anyone have any tips on making digital more watercolor? Good brushes. Um, we can do like a kind of watercolor stream sometime. All right. I think are we have we gamed the system? What is this? What is this? What are we doing? Uh, Kyle Webster's watercolor brushes probably a good place to start. Um, so I'm trying to all of this to say that when it comes to, oh, we're gonna do a bounce light because I'm a glutton for punishment. Hold on. uh, all of this to say, I'm trying to like listen better. Oh, hey, thanks for the host, Kate. I'm trying to listen better to the people around me. I'm trying to be more present. And this is something that I feel like at different points in our lives we forget to do this because we get caught up in our own lives and our own stuff going on. So I'm trying to be like, okay, who in my life is like giving me solid advice? Like who in my life like is actually like looking out for me? And then also conversely, who isn't? That's also another conversation. Like I've been, if you guys can't tell, I've started to like really do a lot of you're coloring for big, yeah. No, I know there's a lot to celebrate in my career for sure. But I feel like I'm actually not bent out of shape about the Eisners. Like I get a little cagey about it when the Eisners come around, but like I don't sit here when I'm making work, when I'm doing the work, I don't sit here and think I better win an Eisner for this. I hope I win an, like I don't think about that stuff. Like I don't know. And like even if I did or did not, it's like if that's the goal, after I win an Eisner, am I done? Like no. Then like that's not the goal, you know? I've always wanted to, you guys are talking about scanning the textures of watercolors and using them and that kind of thing. I've always, if comics weren't this like breakneck pace, I've always wanted to do a like take a page, print it out, light board it, and then do ink wash, and then scan in the ink wash, line it all up, and then color the ink wash on a separate layer to get that like watercolored feel. But like, holy shit, if I did that, I could do like maybe a page a day, maybe. Like, it just isn't practical. Yeah, you see a lot of artists do that when they transfer traditional to digital. Art isn't competitive that way. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like being competitive in art, like I was talking about this with Shannon because Shannon she ran competitively for in Division 1 for school, like pretty intense athletics program about anxiety and confidence. I'm grinding my inking for comics specifically because you those thought coloring was never something special and very limited, and you never tried to do a heavy research to study a lot. I'm still trying to do this first step you were saying. Yeah, first step's the hardest. But what I want to say about that, about like you trying to find your legs between inking and coloring and whatever, like it's also okay to like not really know exactly where you want to be and like try a bunch of stuff out. Like the way you figure out where you want to be, like I don't think that I could have figured out that I wanted to do pages until I felt like I was ready to let go of some of the coloring. And like once I felt like I was ready to let go of some of it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do pages now. You know? And by let go of some of it, I mean just like seeing diminishing returns in growth kind of thing. Does that make sense? Like I'm doing coloring and I'm like, what's the next level? What's the next level? What's the next level? And then eventually it starts to plateau in a way where you are like, okay, like I want to do the next thing. What's the next thing? And the next thing is like coloring my own stuff. Um, just want to make stuff. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the core of it. Like, this is the thing. When I like really sat down and like thought about it, I was like, I don't care about winning awards. I don't care about like socializing with the right people. I don't care about like, you know, what I care about is making things and you say, but you're playing Pokemon instead of working on a comic. It's very on theme for this stream. But making things is what I wanted to do. Exploring the medium of comics is what I wanted to do. And everything else is kind of secondary. Like, and one of the things that I realized was that like there's stuff that I'm not like for example, I was talking about how like we play games on this stream sometimes and how I'm going to try to like start to get away from that. And it's because it's like I like playing games. I'm not going to stop playing games. I'm playing Valkyria Chronicles 3 right now. I'm excited about the new Fire Emblem. I'm excited about the new Fire Emblem. I just got a EverDrive for my Game Boy Advance. I'm not going to stop playing games anytime soon. But I've kind of realized that like this like blows my hair back. Like thinking about comics and like the medium like makes me so excited. Games are a way for me to relax. And like that's important. 100% that's important. But like the focus of like this stream and who I am and you know like the things that like my own goals like that I want to work towards, that I want to put time into, like games don't line up with that. Like I was thinking about this a little bit because I've been late at night for like an hour. I've been kind of like just shotgunning like 15 minutes at a time of some old PlayStation 2 games just to see if they were worth keeping in the collection. And the games will be like, it seems like so silly because it's ridiculous, but the game will be like, hey, what difficulty setting? Because I'll like check out the options, you know, like because I want to check out the game, and it'll be like, what difficult setting do you want? And I'm like, I'm playing like, you know, Mark of Kree on the PlayStation 2, and it's like, I'm not gonna put this on hard. Like, I don't want to get really good at playing Mark of Kree on PlayStation 2. That's not where I want to put my time. Like, aggressively not where I want to put my time. But I was basically doing, yeah. You're playing Pokemon because you have creative anxiety about working on your comic while watching me color a Pokemon character and talk about creative anxiety. Yeah, it's on theme. Yeah. Casual gamer. Totally comfortable with that. Like, and here's the like, and this is something that like I feel like I had to learn to let go of, and all of this stems from anxiety and things like that. You can't do everything. You just can't. I'm never gonna read everything. I'm never gonna be able to play everything, and I also can be a casual gamer and be comfortable with that. Like, if that's like, I used to think. I mean, I'm 37, so I grew up with actual albums that you bought in a store with all the songs on them rather than buying a single song at a time, or not even buying songs, streaming them now. But I have to figure out this light source. That's what I need to do. Are we doing, is it bounce light from the bottom? Maybe it's bounce light from the bottom rather than the left side. I gotta figure it out for the head. LOL, so old. Yeah. I'm turning into a skeleton before your eyes. trying to figure out this nose because this nose is ridiculous, and I feel like the less we do to it, the better it's gonna look because the proportions are all weird because it's kind of anime. Um, but I used to think like if you were gonna get into a band, or if you were gonna like, you can't just like one song. You gotta like the album. The album is an experience as like an entire tapestry. You can't just like one thing, and like that's kind of the mentality that I took to games, like an all-in mentality. It's the mentality I had for comics, Magic, games, collecting, like everything. I was like, you got to get everything. You just got to get it all. And the reality is like there can be, and I had that kind of like manic energy to a lot of the stuff that I was doing. And the reality is like you can do things at half measure and like enjoy your life. Like that's fine. There's no one, this idea that there's going to be somebody out there being like, you're not a real fan, or you're not a really, yeah, I used to play Magic. I don't really play it anymore. I played for a good like 3 years as a kid, and then a solid like 6 as an adult. I have 3 Magic cubes stashed away. Some of the collecting communities encourage that hoarding behavior, but not only hoarding, but just like I remember being like, I ended up with so many games that I just straight up don't want because somebody said along the lines like, if you don't get it now, it's gonna get more expensive. There's like a fervor behind like, well, if you don't really like this, then like you know, like this like real fans and not fan, it's just like insane to me. It's just like, fucking like what you like. I'm never gonna sell like, this is the thing is yeah, fear of missing out for sure. I'm never gonna be like sitting at a table and somebody goes, hey, what's the realm about? And I'm never gonna be like, you're not a real fan, I can't sell it to you. That's like madness, you know? Like, if you think you might like it, try it. That's all. Yeah, I like movies. I'm gonna watch the best ones. Yeah, I've thought about stuff like that. Like, if I'm gonna get into movies, should I let me just sit down and watch every single Oscar pick from here on out? Like, if I'm into comics, like, I should read every comic that has won an Eisner. Like, no, just like what you like. FOMO, tribalism, yeah, or some sort of self-esteem. It could come from a number of places. Absolutely, yeah. And it's taken me like 37 years to like embedded in that, and realizing that kernel is in me of like, people are gonna call you out. You better be prepared. For me to realize like, oh, this isn't a real thing, and I can let go of some stuff, and I can focus on what I want. Like, a lot of I feel like a lot of the decisions that I've made in life, and this is also something that I feel like people are constantly figuring out and about themselves and reevaluating, and it ties into like, well, what do you want? Like, and for some people that's a really hard question to answer because they come in with tribalism, fear of missing out, you know, that's your table. Oh, you don't know blood pickle? Well, you never will. FOMO, tribalism, self-esteem issues, like all of these things. Not only that, but like, what's the term for when you feel like a fraud, even though you're not? God, I forgot what it was. Imposter syndrome, that stuff too. Like, all of that stuff leads you into a place, and societal pressures and social pressures too will push you into a place where you will make choices with your time and make choices with your life that you don't actually care about. And you like once you crack open that door of like, hey, I don't have to care about this. Hey, I don't have to care about this. Like once you crack open that door and you start to kind of like figure out exactly what you do want, like I feel like things will crystallize for yourself and your life and your art in a way that is phenomenal. Um and I feel like I've been slowly building to that in the last like year or the last like couple of years. um you don't need to care about this, log off Twitter. Yeah, like I've started to I had a conversation with Shannon just recently. Hey, thank you for Autumn Treadwell artist now following, thank you very much. I had a conversation with Shannon just recently. We're putting in that bounce light. I don't know if it's good. I haven't decided yet. It's not good in the face. I'll say that right now. Good everywhere else though. We'll figure it out. We're getting that core shadow in. People know, if people have been in my Discord, and I'm in my Discord regularly every single day. If I'm sitting in the chair, I'm usually in the Discord. And link for it is down below. If you are maybe like that, maybe just back away from it in the face. I don't know. Maybe just not in the face. Maybe just like in the nose and like lips. Maybe. But people in my Discord know that like I've been and this is a process. What I'm talking about is not something that you like, what's it bouncing off of? I assume she's in the water. And I also just like want to get a cool image, and like there's a lot of space for us to play and I don't want to waste it, basically. Like if we back it up, like if we just do this, it's fine, it's not wrong, but like this is more engaging and interesting, and that's ultimately whatever we want. Like we want things to be engaging and interesting. So like I'm not going to sweat what it's bouncing off of and if it's right, because I just don't care. I care more about making an engaging image than if it's right. But yeah, people in my Discord know that like I've been slowly kind of really like letting go of some things that I've been putting a lot of time into that I don't think have my best interests at heart. Something you mentioned yesterday, every day there's at least 10 people you follow who will share or make a hot take that's just a pointless discussion. It's not healthy. It's not what you want to participate in. Yeah. I don't think Twitter is like entirely unhealthy or like the devil. Obviously, I still have a Twitter, but like I'm using it less because I'm realizing that like I don't know, because I don't need to use it all the time. It's not gonna, like, a tweet is never gonna sell a mini comic for me better than me going to a con and selling mini comics. You know what I mean? And then not only that, but like I've started to like I had a conversation with Shannon that's like, we watch like all the Marvel movies and we've been watching them since Iron Man, and it's been 10 years and they just unveiled this like timeline of Marvel stuff, and it's like, if you're into that stuff, fantastic. I'm not shaming anything, and when I talk about this stuff, there's no judgment here. My log does not judge, just like the intro. But I was like, hey, I've only personally enjoyed a handful of these movies out of like all of these movies that we've watched. What if now that like Thanos is defeated, we back away from this a little bit and just like watch an occasional movie instead? Like what if instead we like just, I don't know, pump the brakes just a little bit, and like try to make a positive change in our life? Spitball in here, and Shannon like, yeah, that's fair. You know, 5 out of 30 exactly. If like, and this is the thing that I've realized too is like there's so much media out there you can't consume it all. Yeah. And it's like I spent so much time, 30 movies. That's so much time. That's so much bandwidth in my life for that thing. And if like I'm not getting a return out of it, like you can pretty comfortably cut it. I'm gonna say this, and I know that this is true, and but some people are gonna be like kind of rough about this. You can do the same thing with people. If like clearly I have anxieties about things. If I have a person in my life who is like going to tell me that I can't do something or I shouldn't do something or I'm doing something wrong, like I already have that voice in my head. Why the fuck do I have a physical manifestation of that in my life? You know? Like it's okay to and this is something that I wish that I had learned earlier on, is that it's okay to like, if somebody is negative in your life or somebody is, you know, going against your own goals, and they might not have always been that way. It's okay to like let some of those people go. It's okay to just like, you do you, I'm gonna do me. It's fine, you know. Anyway, we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it here because like I've been talking for a long time about for an hour and 28 about anxiety, like, and I'm all hopped up on coffee, and like it's certainly a thing. And I want to get into the rendering, but I want to have like kind of an objective eye with it. So what we did was the first couple steps of every comic coloring process. Anxiety is a large topic. I'm sure I'm going to talk about it next time too, because it's on my mind, and personal growth is on my mind a lot right now, and I want to arm you guys with the same things that like I'm thinking about. But I kind of want to let this simmer so we can come back with fresh eyes before we start rendering, because the rendering is going to be a big challenge. It's going to be way outside the comfort zone, and I feel like, you know, I want to have fresh eyes for that, and I want to make it right. So we're going to come back to this in a couple of days, and I hope to see you then, and we'll finish it off. Until then, you can catch me in the Discord. The link is below. We're going to talk about everything and everything on there. You know, I don't want to discourage you from, if you're like, oh well, Nick doesn't like Marvel movies, so we're not going to talk about it in the Discord. Absolutely, drop it in the Discord. But like, I might not participate in that conversation, but I would never judge. I'd never judge or belittle or anything like that. This is another thing too that's like an added component of like all of this anxiety and growth and all this stuff, is that like I realize that like I'm in a place and I'm trying to get to a place, right? I'm trying to get to a goal. And there's also me 5 years ago who didn't know what that goal was. And that person isn't any more right or wrong than the person that I'm going to be at that goal, or like the person I am now. So like whatever you love, I just hope that you bring it and share it, because like I want to be excited about the same stuff that you guys are excited about, and I want to be excited. I want to be excited about stuff. So absolutely share it. Like, live your truth, man. Until then, I hope like we kind of like putzed on the art a little bit. We're going a little slow because I was like talking about heady concepts, and I hope that this stuff has helped you, and I hope that this has put fuel in your tank, and I hope that you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do comics, or I'm gonna collect Funko Pops to the best of my ability, or whatever it is that you're doing. Like if you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna be in a marriage, and I'm gonna be the best freaking partner ever. Like, do it. Live your truth, man. Whatever you need to do. Uh, until then, until I see you next, guys. Keep making comics, guys and girls. I say guys, just everybody, everyone out there. Keep making comics. We'll try to be less anxious when we come back and render this guy. Thanks.